There comes a moment in life when you must ask yourself, am I creating my future or am I reliving my past? Many people wake up each day with the same thoughts, the same emotions, and the same routines, repeating a cycle that keeps them stuck. They say, I can't do this because I don't have enough time, enough money, enough talent. But here's the truth. Those excuses are just stories. Stories wired into the brain from past experiences, fears, and self-imposed limitations. Your mind is more powerful than you've ever been told. The latest science shows that the brain doesn't know the difference between a deeply imagined experience and reality. That means the moment you commit to trying, truly trying, you begin to change at a biological level. Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever possess. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every belief you hold is shaping your reality in ways you may not even realize. The brain does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you repeatedly focus on a thought, your neural circuits fire in a specific pattern, strengthening that reality in your brain. Over time, these thoughts become your beliefs become your identity, and your identity dictates the life you experience. Neuroscience has shown that the brain is neuroplastic, meaning it is constantly rewiring itself based on your focus and experiences. If you wake up each day expecting stress, hardship, or failure, your brain prepares your body to respond accordingly. Stress hormones flood your system, reinforcing a cycle of limitation. But if you shift your focus toward possibility, toward gratitude, toward a vision greater than your current circumstances, your brain begins to change. It starts to fire new neural pathways that align with the future you desire instead of the past you've been conditioned by. The subconscious mind plays a crucial role in shaping your reality. It operates below your conscious awareness, running programs based on past experiences, emotions, and beliefs that have been repeated over time. If you were told as a child that you weren't smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough, those words became part of your subconscious programming. But the subconscious doesn't recognize truth, it only follows what it has been taught. This means that at any moment you have the power to rewrite the script. By consciously directing your thoughts and emotions, you can override old conditioning and install new patterns that support your highest potential. Emotions are the bridge between thought and reality. When you think of a future possibility and pair it with a strong emotion, whether it's excitement, passion, or deep gratitude, you create a powerful energy signature that the brain and body respond to. This is why people who consistently feel like victims remain stuck in cycles of struggle, while those who feel empowered attract new opportunities. The brain seeks to prove itself right, so if you believe in lack, it will filter reality to show you more lack. If you believe in abundance, it will open your awareness to the resources and possibilities that have been there all along. The external world is merely a reflection of your internal world. If you want to change your reality, you must first change yourself. This means becoming aware of the thoughts you allow to circulate in your mind, the emotions you choose to cultivate, and the stories you tell yourself every day. The person who constantly complains about their circumstances reinforces those circumstances. The person who focuses on growth and expansion reshapes their neural networks to perceive and create new opportunities. The brain is always listening, always adapting, always responding to the signals you send it. When you truly understand that your mind is the architect of your experience, you stop living as a passive observer and start becoming a conscious creator. You recognize that every thought, every visualization, and every emotion is an instruction to your brain and body, guiding them toward a future of your own design. Instead of being trapped by the patterns of the past, you step into the limitless field of possibility where you are no longer defined by who you have been, but by who you choose to become. Decision is the catalyst for transformation. The moment you make a firm decision, your brain begins to reorganize itself to align with that choice. Every neural circuit, every chemical reaction, and every energetic frequency in your body shifts to support the path you have chosen. The problem is most people never truly decide. They entertain ideas, they consider possibilities, but they remain trapped in hesitation. Without decision, there is no movement, no momentum, no change. The mind stays locked in familiar patterns, and the body continues to follow the same predictable emotions that reinforce the past. A true decision is not just a fleeting thought. It is a signal to the subconscious mind that a new reality has begun. The moment you decide that you are going to change your life, your brain takes that information as an instruction. It begins filtering reality differently, seeking out opportunities and possibilities that were previously hidden from your awareness. This is because the brain is wired to focus on what you tell it is important. If you constantly dwell on limitations, your brain will highlight everything that confirms those limitations. But when you decide to pursue a vision greater than your current circumstances, your mind will begin to present you with the steps to achieve it. The power of decision lies in its ability to override fear and doubt. Fear is simply an emotional record of the past, a memory stored in the subconscious that resurfaces whenever you attempt to step into the unknown. If you allow fear to dictate your choices, you remain trapped in the same cycle, repeating the same experiences over and over again. But when you make a firm decision, your brain begins to rewire itself. It starts replacing old neural pathways of fear with new circuits of possibility. Over time, the body no longer reacts with hesitation, but instead responds with certainty, confidence, and action. Every great transformation begins with a single decision. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not necessarily more talented or gifted than others. They are simply more decisive. They do not waste energy questioning whether they are ready, whether the conditions are perfect, or whether they will succeed. They make a decision, and in doing so, they send a powerful signal to their brain and body that there is no turning back. That level of commitment alters brain chemistry, releasing dopamine and other neurochemicals that drive motivation, focus, and resilience. The mind becomes clear, the body becomes energized, and momentum begins to build. Indecision, on the other hand, keeps the brain stuck in a loop of stress and uncertainty. When you hesitate, your mind remains in survival mode, constantly analyzing and overthinking instead of acting. This creates a cycle of doubt where the body becomes addicted to the familiar emotions of worry and fear. The longer you stay in this state, the harder it becomes to break free. But the instant you make a decision, without waiting for external validation, without seeking permission from your past, the brain begins to shift. The unknown no longer feels like a threat. It becomes a realm of endless possibility. When you understand that decision is the turning point for everything you desire, hesitation is no longer an option. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop letting old emotions dictate your future because you recognize that your future is created in the present. You stop identifying with the person you have been and start aligning with the person you are becoming. The power of decision is not just about choosing a new path. It is about becoming the version of yourself who no longer entertains anything less than the reality you are committed to creating. Fear and doubt are nothing more than remnants of the past, the emotional records stored in the subconscious mind that replay whenever you attempt to step into the unknown. They are not real obstacles. They are patterns of thought reinforced by past experiences, failures, and conditioned beliefs. The moment you understand that fear is just a memorized emotional response, you begin to strip it of its power. Your body may react with hesitation, your mind may flood with uncertainty, but these are just signals from an old version of you, one that no longer aligns with where you are going. The brain is designed to keep you safe, to protect you from perceived threats, but the problem is that it doesn't distinguish between real danger and imagined fear. When you think about taking a risk, starting something new, making a bold decision, stepping beyond your comfort zone, your brain reacts as if you are facing a life-threatening situation. It triggers a cascade of stress hormones, increasing heart rate, tightening muscles, and heightening your awareness of everything that could go wrong. But this response is not a warning sign to retreat. It is a signal that you are on the edge of transformation. Fear and doubt only exist in the absence of clarity. When you allow your mind to wander into uncertainty, to play out every worst-case scenario, you feed the neural circuits that keep you stuck. But the moment you shift your focus from what could go wrong to what could go right, everything begins to change. Your brain starts firing in new patterns, creating a vision of possibility rather than failure. Instead of reinforcing fear-based emotions, you activate feelings of courage, excitement, and confidence. The body follows the mind, and soon, what once felt like a barrier becomes an open door. The key to overcoming fear is action. Fear thrives in stagnation, in overthinking, in hesitation. But the moment you take a step forward, no matter how small, you interrupt the old pattern. Your brain registers movement as a sign of safety, and the stress response begins to subside. Each time you push past fear, you rewire your neural pathways, making confidence and resilience your new default state. It is not about eliminating fear entirely. It is about training yourself to act in spite of it, to use it as fuel rather than a roadblock. Doubt, like fear, is a learned response. It comes from repeated exposure to limiting beliefs. Beliefs that were often not even your own. Maybe someone once told you that you weren't good enough, that success was for other people, that failure was something to be feared. Over time, these words became part of your subconscious programming, dictating the way you see yourself and the world. But just as the brain learned those beliefs, it can unlearn them. The moment you question your doubt, the moment you refuse to accept it as truth, you begin to dismantle its hold over you. Rewiring your mind to overcome fear and doubt is a daily practice. It requires awareness, recognizing when fear-based thoughts arise and consciously choosing to shift your focus. It requires discipline, training yourself to take action before the mind has time to talk you out of it. It requires emotional mastery, learning to generate the feelings of success, confidence, and certainty before you have any external proof. Fear and doubt are not indications that you should stop. They are indicators that you are standing at the threshold of a new reality, one that is waiting for you to claim it. The old self is nothing more than a collection of past experiences, habits, and emotions that have been reinforced over time. It is the identity built from memories, some empowering, but many limiting. Every time you wake up and think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and follow the same routines, you strengthen the neural pathways that keep you tied to who you were yesterday. The body memorizes these patterns so well that it begins to run on autopilot, making change feel difficult, even impossible. But the truth is, you are not bound by your past unless you continue to identify with it. Breaking free from the old self begins with awareness. You must become conscious of the unconscious programs running your life, the thoughts you default to, the emotions you repeat, the behaviors you engage in without question. Most people live in reaction to their past, allowing old wounds, failures, and fears to dictate their present choices. But the moment you observe these patterns without becoming emotionally involved in them, you take the first step toward transformation. You realize that these programs are not who you are, they are just who you have practiced being. The body plays a significant role in maintaining the old self. Every emotion you have ever felt, stress, frustration, doubt, creates a biochemical signature in your cells. Over time, the body becomes addicted to these emotional states, craving the familiar chemical rush of stress or negativity, even if it is harmful. This is why change often feels uncomfortable. The body resists because it has been conditioned to seek what it knows. To break free, you must teach the body a new way of being, one where elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, and inspiration become your new baseline. Visualization and intention are powerful tools in this process. The brain does not distinguish between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. When you close your eyes and see yourself as the person you wish to become, thinking new thoughts, feeling new emotions, taking new actions, you activate the same neural circuits as if it were already happening. Over time, these thoughts create new neural pathways, and the body begins to respond to a future that has not yet happened. The old self loses its grip as the new self becomes more familiar. Letting go of the old self requires disrupting routine. If you want to create a new reality, you cannot continue living by the same habits and expecting different results. You must step into the unknown, where the mind and body are no longer relying on past conditioning, but are instead creating something new. This means breaking patterns, waking up earlier, thinking different thoughts, feeling emotions before external circumstances give you a reason to. The more you practice stepping outside of the familiar, the easier it becomes to rewire your identity. Emotional mastery is the final key to breaking free. The old self is deeply tied to emotional patterns, guilt, regret, fear that keep you anchored in the past. The moment you decide to no longer be controlled by these emotions, you take back your power. Instead of reacting to life, you begin creating it. You no longer identify with the version of yourself who felt stuck, lost, or unworthy. Instead, you align with the future self who has already evolved beyond those limitations. Change does not happen in one giant leap. It happens in the small, consistent actions you take every single day. The brain is designed to adapt and rewire itself based on repetition, which means that even the smallest shift in thought, behavior, or habit can create a ripple effect that leads to transformation. Most people believe they need a radical breakthrough to change their lives, but in reality, it is the daily commitment to new actions, no matter how small, that reshapes the mind and body. Every time you take a small action toward growth, you are reinforcing a new neural pathway in the brain. At first, the change may seem insignificant, but over time, these repeated actions strengthen and become second nature. Just as negative habits and limiting beliefs are wired into the brain through repetition, new empowering habits can be installed the same way. The key is consistency. Choosing to think differently, to feel differently, to act differently, even when there is no immediate result. The brain responds to persistence, and with enough repetition, what once felt unnatural becomes effortless. Small actions also have the power to shift your emotional state, which is essential for creating lasting change. When you consciously choose to express gratitude, even for something as simple as the air you breathe, you signal to your brain and body that you are shifting into a new emotional state. Over time, this consistent practice rewires your chemistry, making elevated emotions like joy and confidence your default state instead of stress and anxiety. The body begins to crave these positive emotional states, reinforcing the habits that created them in the first place. Momentum is built through small, repeated steps. The mistake most people make is waiting for motivation before taking action, but motivation is not what creates change. Action is. Even the tiniest effort sends a message to the brain that you are moving in a new direction. As the brain adapts to this movement, motivation naturally follows. What once felt difficult becomes easier, and what once felt out of reach becomes achievable. This is why the simple act of starting, taking that first small step, is often the most powerful decision you can make. The subconscious mind resists drastic change, but it embraces gradual transformation. When you try to change everything at once, the brain perceives it as a threat, triggering resistance and self-sabotage. But when you implement small, manageable shifts, the subconscious mind accepts them as normal. This is why something as simple as waking up 10 minutes earlier, shifting one negative thought into a positive one, or replacing one unhealthy habit with a better choice can have a profound impact. Over time, these minor adjustments compound into significant transformation. The key to long-term change is trusting the process of small, consistent actions. The brain and body need time to rewire, but with daily commitment, new habits become identity. You are no longer forcing yourself to change, you have become the change. What started as a small action becomes who you are, and without realizing it, you have completely reshaped your reality. Emotions are not just fleeting feelings, they are powerful energy sources that dictate the way you think, act, and experience life. Every emotion you generate sends a biochemical signal throughout your body, influencing your brain chemistry, your nervous system, and even the way your genes express themselves. When you experience emotions of fear, doubt, or frustration, your body releases stress hormones that keep you locked in a survival state. But when you cultivate elevated emotions, joy, gratitude, love, you shift your entire physiological and neurological state, activating a new level of energy that fuels transformation. The body does not act independently of emotion. Every decision you make, every action you take is influenced by the emotional state you are in at that moment. When you feel inspired and confident, you naturally take bold action, think creatively, and pursue opportunities without hesitation. But when you are stuck in emotions of doubt or fear, the mind becomes foggy, hesitation creeps in, and progress slows. This is because emotions influence the chemistry of the brain, determining whether you are in a state of expansion or contraction. If you learn to harness your emotions, you can use them as fuel to propel yourself forward. The key is understanding that emotions are not responses to external events, they are choices. Most people believe they need a reason to feel happy, grateful, or excited, but the truth is they can generate these emotions at any moment. The brain does not differentiate between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined, which means you can create the emotional energy of success before you even see external proof. When you practice feeling the emotions of your desired future now, you condition your brain and body to align with that reality, making it more likely to manifest. Emotions also serve as a frequency that attracts or repels experiences. Every emotion carries a specific vibrational signature, influencing the energy you emit into the world. When you consistently generate emotions of stress, worry, or frustration, you reinforce neural circuits that keep you stuck in cycles of limitation. But when you embody emotions of excitement, passion, and gratitude, you shift your energy field, drawing in opportunities, people, and circumstances that match that frequency. The external world is merely reflecting back the emotional state you most consistently embody. Mastering emotions requires awareness and intentionality. The moment you recognize that an emotional state is not serving you, you have the power to shift it. Instead of allowing external conditions to dictate your emotions, you can consciously decide to cultivate states that support your vision. This can be done through breathwork, movement, visualization, or simply choosing a different thought. By repeatedly shifting into higher emotional states, you recondition your nervous system, making elevated emotions your new default rather than reactive survival states. When you use emotions as fuel, you no longer rely on willpower alone to create change. You no longer wait for external success to feel worthy, confident, or joyful. You become the source of those emotions. The stronger and more consistent the emotional energy you generate, the faster your brain and body align with the future you are creating. Instead of pushing against resistance, you are pulled forward by the magnetic force of the emotions you have consciously chosen to embody. Excuses are nothing more than mental constructs designed to keep you trapped in a comfortable, familiar space. They are self-imposed limitations that you create to justify staying where you are rather than stepping into the unknown or striving for something greater. When you make an excuse, you are not facing a true obstacle. You are allowing your mind to invent reasons why you cannot move forward. These excuses often come in the form of thoughts like, I don't have enough time, I'm not good enough, or it's too hard. The truth is, these excuses are just stories your mind tells you to keep you from growing. At their core, excuses are a way for the brain to avoid discomfort. Change often requires facing fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, which can feel threatening to the subconscious mind. The mind will do whatever it can to avoid these feelings, even if it means keeping you in a stagnant state. Excuses are a defense mechanism, a way to maintain the status quo without risking the vulnerability of growth. But this defense mechanism is only temporary, and it prevents you from unlocking your true potential. By recognizing excuses for what they are, mental constructs designed to avoid discomfort, you take away their power. What makes excuses so powerful is the belief that they are based in reality. Most people believe their excuses are justified because they are often tied to genuine concerns, financial limitations, lack of time, past failures, or external circumstances. However, the key to breaking free from excuses is understanding that they are not facts. They are perceptions of the mind. Your brain filters information through the lens of past experiences and limiting beliefs, which leads to the creation of these excuses. When you choose to challenge them, you begin to see that they are not absolute truths, but merely perceptions that can be changed. Excuses are also a form of self-sabotage, often born from fear of failure or fear of success. The fear of failure keeps you from taking risks, while the fear of success holds you back from stepping into your full potential. Both of these fears are rooted in limiting beliefs about who you are and what you deserve. Excuses allow you to stay in your comfort zone, where you are safe from the perceived dangers of the unknown. But by constantly making excuses, you remain stuck in patterns that no longer serve you, perpetuating a cycle of inaction and stagnation. The most powerful way to break free from excuses is through awareness and self-reflection. The moment you recognize that an excuse is coming up, you can pause and ask yourself if it is truly valid or just a story you've been telling yourself. The key is to shift from a mindset of limitation to one of possibility. Instead of focusing on why something won't work, ask yourself, how can I make this work? By reframing the situation and choosing to take action despite the excuses, you begin to rewire your brain to seek solutions rather than reinforce limits. Excuses often arise when you feel disconnected from your purpose or vision, when you lack clarity on what you truly want to create in your life. It's easy to fall into the trap of making excuses because there is no compelling reason to push through the discomfort. However, when you connect deeply to your why, the purpose behind your actions, the excuses begin to lose their grip. A strong sense of purpose fuels determination, and the energy to act outweighs the mental constructs of excuse making. When your vision becomes bigger than your fears and doubts, excuses no longer hold power over you. Becoming your future self is not something that happens at some distant point in time. It is something you begin to do now. The key to transformation lies in understanding that your future self is not a distant version of you who will emerge when certain external conditions are met. Your future self exists within you right now as a potential waiting to be realized. Every decision, every thought, and every action you take today sends a message to your brain and body about who you are becoming. The moment you align your present self with your desired future, you activate the process of becoming. The mind is a powerful tool, and it works in the present moment. It doesn't wait for the future to create a new identity. It begins to transform the moment you decide. To become your future self now, you must begin thinking as if you have already achieved the goals and dreams you desire. The brain doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. It only knows what it is currently focused on. By thinking from the perspective of your future self, you begin to send new signals to your brain, which in turn rewires your neural pathways to align with that vision. Becoming your future self also requires embodying the emotions and behaviors that match the person you are becoming. If your future self is confident, abundant, and successful, you must practice feeling those emotions now. Your body responds to the emotions you generate, and over time it begins to embody the physiological state of your future self. The key is to live as though the qualities you desire, courage, confidence, joy, or success, are already part of you. When you do this consistently, you begin to program your body and brain to mirror the reality you are creating. The actions you take today are the building blocks of your future self. It's not enough to just think or feel differently. You must also take action that aligns with your future vision. Small steps, consistent effort, and purposeful decisions add up over time. When you begin acting as if you are already the person you aspire to be, You start to create the reality that future self would live in. The more you act from this place of alignment, the more your future self becomes your present reality. You are no longer waiting for something to change externally, you are creating change through your actions. The shift from who you are now to who you want to become is not a matter of time, it is a matter of consciousness. When you choose to live as your future self now, you are consciously stepping into the version of you who has already achieved what you desire. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is striving for something and begin to identify with the person who already has it. This shift in identity is what drives transformation. Instead of thinking, I will be successful one day, you start to think, I am successful now, and your mind begins to reorganize your life around that belief. The more you immerse yourself in the mindset, emotions, and behaviors of your future self, the more you align with your highest potential. This is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It's about reconnecting with the truth of who you are meant to be. Your future self is already inside of you, and it is your job to remove the barriers, fear, doubt, and old habits that prevent you from accessing that version. By becoming your future self now, you step into a life of possibility and power, creating the future in the present moment.